The overarching concept of really uncovering, like, a lot of us have a feeling that we know is going on in the world, but we kind of brush to the side or don't talk about just due to the pressures of day-to-day life or just survival.
Just trying to get like-minded people together really means a lot to me, and I think coming to a space like this is a great place to get started if you want to learn how to organize and even like have these conversations.
I think it's just healthy for all of us to have a third place where we can connect and build community with people.
So I had a conversation with you, and you said something that I've actually heard in movement spaces for years. And to give some context from my perspective, I'm seeing a lot of people who are really struggling over how to be of service in this moment. They're trying to figure out, what they're gonna do in this climate, how they can meaningfully intervene or respond to everything that's going on. And talking to you, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you said, how am I supposed to deal with what's going on out here if I haven't even dealt with what's going on in here? It's real though, right? And I'm just curious, from your perspective in your life and where you're at now, like, what does that look like for you?
I try to not overcomplicate it. For me, it starts with really simple, basic tasks like brushing my teeth, flossing, like simple self-care. Because I know there were certainly times in my life where, I'm sure some of y'all can identify, when you're in it and the simplicity of like taking a shower is just hard to do. So sometimes that feels like rebellious to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm acting.
Washing my ass.
I'm washing my ass.
Yes. Go wash yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also try to just, like I realize, wow, I have 1,000 thoughts going through my head at once.
Me too.
Say all of them, because I'm lost.
Okay. I feel like I was like allergic to gratitude for a really long time. So the more that I like look at the simple things, I feel more like grounded in the now, if that makes
Absolutely
sense to your question. Like all the things that I take for granted. Speaking of showers, like I can shower.
Right. Clean water.
I have accessibility to clean water, a shower, warm water, like a home, clean drawers, socks, like the simple things that I just kind of just have. I don't really, it just gives me some perspective. Like when I'm looking out there and I'm just distraught, I feel like the best thing I can do is honor the privilege that I have, if,
Yes, that makes sense to me. Did you have a thought on that?
I feel like my thoughts are very similar on the subject. I feel like, and I feel like I want to add to that and say, like, I don't know, every day I get up and I think about how much of a struggle it is to just cook for myself. And I was talking to my roommate about this yesterday or day before, and he was talking about like getting one of those meal in a box situations where you just like cook the ingredients they send you, and it just like, I feel like starting with just like how much it takes to take care of myself as an individual, I just extrapolate that out into like, what we've been talking about for years of just like how much easier this would be if I had like 5 other people around me that also needed this in the same space. And like, I think about how many times I got to do dishes in a day, and how much simpler that would be if like one other person was there to eat half of the food I cooked, and then they can do the dishes. And then I just sort of extrapolate that out into like we all have these same stuff. We all have the same stuff going on in our day to day, and
to survive, like just to live.
Yeah. Meanwhile, me and my roommate, we got like 4 separate cartons of eggs because we can't have the same. We can't share eggs. You know what I mean? And it is not like it's something we talked about but it's like that's the understandings that we got all our same stuff going on, but we got to do it separate for some reason in the same space because we live with this expectation that we're gonna have our separate lives somewhere down the line. You know, and I think what I've sort of been grappling with over the past couple years is like, I think this is the first time in my life where I feel like I can see myself living where I am for the rest of my life. And not that I definitely will or that I'm planning on it, but like, I think for years I was on the subject of like being gratitude averse. I think I just always had this sort of internal like inertia where I felt like I'm destined for something different. I didn't even whether or not I knew what it was. And now I feel like this is the first time in my life where I'm like, how do I stay where I'm at? How do I afford to stay where I'm at? How do I make this sustainable? How do I make it sustainable for the people around me? And then it just kind of extrapolates into things that I feel like we've been talking about for years, but I feel like we can, get into that later.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are talking about now more than ever, it feels like alternative systems or better ways we could be organized together. And that internal piece for a lot of these people is just like a minor footnote. So they're going into shared spaces and organizations with other people, not having looked inside and interrogated some things compassionately. And then they go into these social contexts and they carry all of that sickness with them. And we all have it, right? But it's like, are we doing anything to look inside and think about what the implications are for the people around us that we're saying we want to build new systems with or be organized with? You know what I mean? And I think that's a part of why that comment stuck with me. And this is my honest view on it. I feel like mental health awareness, minutes ago, we were talking about like the buzzworthiness of like mental health and all of this. And it's a very like individualistic sort of conversation that most people are having when they're talking about like mental health, which understandably so, because it's like it's a private experience. But there's like a whole nother piece of like, we are mentally ill because we're living in an ill society. We're living in violent systems. And so the question for me becomes like, how do we join that sort of like internal journey and for a lot of people struggle of trying to, you could call it mental liberation if you want. How do we join that with like a collective sort of strategy or experience that deals with labor and land and housing and whatnot? But I guess to put it to you, like, would you mind sharing, I guess, some of your family history and kind of how that informs your perspective on these sorts of things?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think it's important.
Yeah, so I come from a very... my family is amazing and beautiful, honestly. Like, I remove myself from it sometimes, and I just can't believe that, like, I have... I won't say had, My grandfather has passed on, but, like, he's still here. But yeah, my mother's side of the family is from the South, Tennessee, Mississippi area, and my father is from Chile. So I feel like I was kind of born into... I also, to give some context just for like myself, I was born in like a natural birthing center. My name is Sage, you know what I mean? I should give you enough context to like who my parents are. My sisters' names are Kanyesa Paloma, and Ama. So there's this brand of Black woman that that my mom is in this lineage that's like, I'm so grateful for her that she just really presented a lot of information to me. Like I was really so much that I took for granted, like just the books in my home, the records in my home, things that I thought were normal, and I'm out judging other people going, what? Da, 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 not knowing that I was extremely privileged. And on the other side of that, you know, my father, if you aren't familiar, September 11th, 73, there was a coup in Chile, and my family had to flee. Luckily, my father's father was Swiss, so we were able to get out of there. And I even have a lot of compassion and empathy for my dad, like that survivor's guilt. And I asked him often, like, would you go back? You know, and I never try to dig too deep with that, but I just kind of let it be. But socialism is kind of like the foundation of my father's side of the family, just in terms of how we were thinking, how we were organizing when we were in Chile, and having to leave and like your world being flipped upside down and landing in England, of all places. You know,
Oi,
like,
bruv.
Oi, yeah, exactly. You know, my grandmother still lives there. Even with my grandfather, he was a conscientious objector during a time where like that was unheard of for Black men. He was just like, no, I'm not fighting your war. Like, I'm not gonna go, I'm fighting you here. Why would I go and fight for you there? So he didn't get undressed. They sent him to a concentration camp in the States. So that was like how I saw my grandfather, just like ahead of the curve in that way. And he was a family counselor. My grandfather was also just kind of like the perfect guy to me. The way that he carried himself, everything about him, you know, he was a Christian, but I truly feel like his spirit just chose that because that's what was accessible to him. That was just the vehicle that he chose. But he was so advanced in his thinking, you know, and I always wanted to be like him, just being this like pillar of our family, someone that was depended upon, an organizer, a leader. Just specifically to his counseling and therapy, I always felt like I had a calling with that. Hopefully in my future that's there. But through my music, like I've always felt that it's a duty to share what's going on within me, because I feel like I might be perceived by others for what I do outside of music, you know, like, oh, your life must be great. I can't imagine that you're, you know, moved by the things that I'm moved by. So I feel connected to people just through making the music, you know. When I release the music, it's not mine, you know, it's yours or theirs, whoever's it is. So I've kind of landed there, but I've been stuck really since our conversation, because I'm like, it's not enough. It is. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up is like, I truly feel like for people like us, who look like us, I'll speak about me personally. Like, I don't.
More specific, because.
Say it again?
Could you be more specific? Because. Never mind.
That's a colorism.
That's a color,
white supremacy.
Colorism on the. I'm
Culture.
Yeah. I'm trying to honor him, because then we'll get into that.
Right. Okay, I'll just be over here.
I'm trying to honor him. Yeah, Black people.
Racialized as Black.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, there we go.
Yeah.
He'll tell y'all all about that in a little bit. Because it's bust my head since we spoke. But what I was going to say is that, yeah, I constantly feel like I'm not enough, like I'm not doing enough. And back to your first kind of question is acknowledging that, like, I'm doing great. You know, there's always more to be done, but my output is not like reflective of who I am. You know,
In your essence as a human
as
being.
a human being,
To be a
yes.
conscious and aware human being.
Yes, like I am
Yes.
enough. You know,
Yes.
Right.
I'm an insecure person who constantly feels perceived. I judge others, you know. So like if I'm content in with who I am, then I'm then more eligible to be of service to other people. So like you're saying, if you're not doing the internal work, it's my favorite scene from, I don't know which scary movie it is, but you know the sketchy hand dude.
Oh, 2. Scary Movie 2.
2, okay.
Take my strong hand.
Right.
Yes.
Out of the window. You don't want to offer that hand to people. And when you don't do that work and you're like offering that janky ass hand to people, you feel me? And she's like, I'm good. And just
You're saying take my good hand, and you're like,
It's like-
I don't know if your hand is good.
Exactly,
man. I don't
exactly.
know if your hand is good.
and you really be sitting there thinking that it's your good hands.
Yeah.
Truly.
It's like, I just take a look at the other one.
Come on, I'm trying to help you. Come on.
Word.
No, it's not strong enough. That's my favorite line from that movie.
I don't remember much from that movie except for
Just the hand.
the hand and all the things he does with the hand.
The mashed
The
potatoes.
turkey. Yes.
I'm also like the way that my shit works. Like I already forgot what we was talking about. I need to be. I think I got some ADHD going on.
Yeah, yep.
It's
sure.
all
Okay,
good.
now we're locked in.
Holding the thread
There you
it can be challenging for sure. My brain went in a million different directions just like hearing that response. I do want to jump to the music as poison conversation. So can we put a pin in that real quick? Yeah. So just keep that on the mental. One thing I thought about is in line with what I was saying about how mental health is a very like hyper individualistic commodified thing in this country. And it's also related to what you're talking about. It's kind of like when self-care becomes damaging, where it becomes avoidance, like I think about how little the structural dimensions, like the daily exploitation that most people in this country and around the world are going through, like how little that is factored into the conversation that we have about like where we're at and like even where we're trying to go. There is a advantage, a privilege, if you will, of even having the time and the space to think about yourself and process your behaviors and your past and your values. To have that is a privilege in a lot of cases. And so I guess my mind just goes to like, and I feel like it's in my work and the work that I'm doing with other people. It's trying to account for the structural things. And, like when we're talking about housing or like we're talking about technology, it's like human to human connection and decision making that like forges that into the world. And so there's pieces of us going into everything that we're doing together. And I feel like in order to, at a certain level, in order for more people to have the bandwidth or have the space, the room, the cultural context to look inside and explore things compassionately, some of us, maybe the most privileged of us who have our values, maybe there is some responsibility in like thinking about how we can open up that space. You know what I mean? Like however you I mean, I have, I guess, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Yedoye. Yeah.
No, I think I have some connective tissue to add to this because I feel like what you're touching on, there's more to what you said, but I feel like part of what you're touching on is like how we've sort of like IG reeled it into like
Yes,
a nap is resistance discourse.
Yeah.
And like when we reduce the things that we need on the step towards something bigger into an end in itself.
Yeah.
And when we say like this thing is important. Obviously, you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to take care of yourself. But then it's like when you start to think of yourself as a system, the community that you're in as a system, the people next to you as systems in themselves, and how all of those things sort of interact with each other, then you start to get a bigger picture of how those things sort of interplay. And then you can think like, I gotta take a nap so that I'm refreshed and I'm energized to do this thing and go out and organize with these people. And for me, I mean, I've just really gotten into like taking care of myself physically, partly because I realized that was such a big hurdle to taking care of myself mentally.
Definitely, yeah.
And, you know, there's a degree to which I thought I was depressed for a long time, and I realized like, there's really something to be said for just being able to physically get out of the bed.
Cardio, actually.
Yeah, it's like I'm not depressed, my knees hurt.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can't get out of bed, but I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. My shit cracks when I hit the ground. And I feel like now I'm in a position where like, you know, not, you know, mind-body dualism. These things like feed into each other. They're not separate systems in the way that we think they are.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, I don't know, to just like put a little button on that thought. I guess for me, rejoining those two things that I think have been ideologically separated in a lot of ways is really important. Yes, Sage.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think I'm like seeing my, like where I am within this, you know, because I'm extremely impressionable. Like, as y'all can hear, he can speak very well. Like these guys can speak well. So, like by the end of this, I'm like, sign me up. Let's organize.
All right, so we're doing calisthenics at the park at 3 p.m.
All of that, yes. But what I'm doing in like changing how I think is, just like the classics, you know, like, and you know, Earl's about to drop Live, Laugh, Love, and it's like, to me,
that was what y'all just did was crazy.
It's kind of zombie-ish.
But yeah, just like getting his perspective on like why it's like we're afraid to be corny.
Yeah.
You know, even when you said that, when you were like mind, body, I'm like, nigga, mind, body,
Thank you.
Tap in, like we doing this.
Right.
So what I'm saying is like the classics, you know, like the tortoise and the hare. Like I've lived so much of my life trying to get there quickly and not even doing the knowledge for real. Like, so I'm trying to like currently like just take my time. So it's like sometimes you don't even see the progress that you're making.
Yeah.
Individually. So I want to like hold space for people just to like reflect and mirror to each other like,
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Like, yes, the simplicity of brushing your teeth, of making your bed, that's teaching you some discipline. So it's like subtle little, I had therapy today, and my therapist and I were talking about, you know, ways in which I challenge myself. And through that discomfort, I'm like, God, this sucks. But I don't see that I'm actually progressing, that things are changing within me. And I don't see it until my mom is like, I see you, you know? So that's kind of to counteract it. It's like, I know that I can feel intimidated. Like, I can literally convince myself that the music is not enough. And maybe it isn't. I can always do more, but it's a good place to start from. Where I'm like, if I'm working on myself, if I'm then sharing my grief and sharing how I process my grief, then maybe that'll inspire someone else to do that work, to be able to be of service to us, the greater good, of us.
Yeah.
Can I speak to the doing enough piece? I think this underscores, I mentioned it, I feel like it's gonna become a phrase that I keep bringing up, but like it underscores the importance of having like core values. And it's also related to our conversation about moralism. I have my own, views on that, but it's like, I don't think there's any inherent, good or bad. There are the values that we have and what we want to see and how we want to be and how we want to relate to people in the world, and then how that, informs our behaviors. And then there's something to be said about conditioning, because we didn't choose where to be born or who to be born to. We didn't choose that.
I would argue that.
That you chose it?
I think I chose.
Break it down for me.
I mean, yeah, my perspective. I truly think that I chose my parents. I truly
Break
think
it down
that.
for me, yeah.
I don't know. To think that I'm confined. I do know. I think. I don't know shit, but I do know this.
That's all of us, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Like the wise man, yada, yada, insert. I like to think that when I was in some type of place with the almighty presence, that I saw, or that I was presented options, and I was like, that woman and that man. That's what I think. Because it's like, I look at my parents and I'm just like, wow, these are great teachers. Like there's no it's inexplicable. And I look at them, I'm like, I must have chosen you from, I believe in previous lifetimes, and it's like, maybe I didn't get that the last time. And I truly think that I needed parents that are like, I love you, here's art. I don't have a whole lot of money, but I can offer you books and music and hugs and kisses, and like, I truly think that my spirit chose them.
I think that's applause worthy. It seemed like y'all were about to. I just want to bring y'all out of you. You know what I mean? I feel like y'all start to do some shit and then you back down. Don't let somebody whistle by themselves.
Continue where you was at. I fully cut you off.
No, it's all good. I appreciate your perspective, and like these kinds of conversations I think are important because they're logically, I mean, it's like me taking that perspective is like the jump off point, the foundation for everything that I'm going to say afterwards, right? So it's like, it's worth interrogating those thoughts and sometimes assumptions, subconscious assumptions that we make about how we got here. Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I chose where I landed and the hand that I was dealt. But I do feel lucky and fortunate that through it all and how I've developed as a human being, I have been able to cultivate a sense of core values and intentionality about how I want to live my life and how I want to relate to other people. And that's my guiding light in life. And I was bringing that up just to say that, like, doing enough, even that, like, that phrasing, like, doing enough, it's like, well, what do you want to do? I feel like we have in the abstract the kind of world that we want to be in with other people, or we have sort of like an idea of how we want to help people in the world. And from there, we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And you got to imagine that's a lot of pressure when you're still learning and you're still growing and you're still trying to figure a lot of things out. All of us are. And so I guess I'm saying all of this to say, I think, like, in tandem with what you have been talking about of, like, doing this, checking in with this in here, there's a piece of, like, what do I value What do I want? What's worth it to me? When we're talking about like struggle, I don't believe that there's this moralistic lens to like, you gotta be doing this. If you're not doing this, you're a whore. You're a piece of shit. You know, you're not doing shit. You're selfish. You know, I don't have those loaded judgments behind. If someone, this
is where we disagree. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
It's in
all right.
it's in line. Here's what I thought about after our conversation. I was like, how could I distill in the quickest way? Like, I have all these particulars, you know, I value direct democracy and autonomy and cooperation, and like, I'd use the term outer nationalism. I don't fuck with nation states or nationalism, right? And I was like, you know, thinking about all the long list of those things, and I'm like, okay, but like, what is it, if I were to distill what it's about for me, what would it be? And I was like, I want my presence to contribute to things that bear life, that bear joy and pleasure. That's it. And so from there, from my values and my perspective, which I don't believe that as a species, biologically, do we benefit? do we survive by taking care of each other and looking out for each other and cooperating? Yes. But my life, my journey, my perspective isn't like premised on this like scientistic sort of like perspective. It's, look, we just got dropped in here, all of us, as my perspective, and we're given the hand, we're dealt the hand that we're dealt. And some of us, because of maybe our parents, or because of, in a funny way, sometimes it's trauma. I feel like me, I got really fucked up psychologically as a kid. And I had a instinct of rebellion sort of like baked into me from a young age. And that is what sort of brought me to just like, I gotta unpack what the fuck is going on. Because this shit isn't fair. Yeah.
Put the pin in Tupac.
Yes, absolutely.
About our
about
our light skin link up with Tupac.
We were both Tupac heads as kids.
Yeah.
So it's been a lifelong. Yeah. End of the crotch.
There's a theme.
Even in that though, you know, back to another example is like, I truly think that Tupac was presented with like a life. And they're like, yo, you can only be here for a certain amount of time, but you're going to make a big impact. Are you willing to take this life? And he was just like, yeah. You know, I think he chose that. I truly think so.
I definitely think he chose this. Yeah.
I think you can make the choice to stay in it, you know? I feel like he had plenty of opportunities to not live that life, you know? I think the environment...
Yeah, I'm not a fan of martyrdom, so I wish he were still here and was still in it, you know?
I mean, I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just saying.
Of course.
I think...
He was also suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a human being. Like, he's just a flawed dude who's just like...
Yeah.
But that's how that's the beauty of him.
Yeah.
Because if he had stayed like theater school Pac, we wouldn't have gotten the message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For real.
Yeah.
I mean, he still might be with Jada. Like.
Oh, and that's a whole... Now we're in a whole new universe. Chris Rock doesn't get slapped. Or maybe he does, but the different route to it. Different environment.
Is Pac on the stage?
Pac is on the stage.
He was dipping more into Hollywood. You never know.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth. I don't know who that was. That wasn't.
Yeah, who
that wasn't
was
a good
that?
Pac. That wasn't a good Pac. That was.
I appreciated that.
Yeah. Sometimes you do the rough draft impression, and it's not the move. I just been sitting here for a long time. I got a lot of energy left up.
Just trying shit.
I'm just trying.
I feel like this is a good segue into the.
I wanted to try more Pac on stage. I'm still feeling the urge. You want to try one? Okay.
No,
That was fun.
I was doing like rapping. It's not his speaking voice. It's not his speaking voice.
I know.
You know what I mean?
What the fuck is up, Coachella? When they had him as the hologram. Oh, that one hurt.
Hologram Pac impression is
That
crazy.
one hurt.
Hollow Pac.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
The poison conversation. Music is poison conversation.
Bro, I have energy too.
Yeah,
I'm
where did it
feeling
come
so-
from? I feel like we were both drained backstage.
You-
We were. Music
might-
is poison.
You might have to set the tone.
Resume, good brother. Whoever just paused that, resume.
Wait, someone said
Said-
pause?
He said,
We were drained upstairs, and Zoom was like, pause.
Come
and he said,
good
he said,
brother.
press play.
Come on.
Yes.
Cameron's in the audience? God damn.
Respectfully, yeah, that was
Yo.
good, though. That was good. It was quick.
Yeah. Then can we get the computers Putin again?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Do you have any immediate thoughts on that?
Music is poison?
Yeah. Music
Yes.
as poison.
Music
You
as
remember what
poison.
we were
Okay,
talking
because
about?
I was, yes.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, I have thoughts too.
Yeah.
I would like context.
Yeah.
We had a whole ass conversation, so we're like doing little inside things. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe.
That's what light skinned niggas
Is
do.
this
We
light
link
skin
up
stuff?
and,
Okay,
and
because I've
just,
been trying to. What is my avenue?
music
As poison. No, so I
Poison.
That's what I was thinking too.
Nah, like I feel like there was I actually talked with Saul Williams about this kind of some years ago. But I feel like there's the old conversation about like conscious rap versus it's just nasty to even say to cue up
the hat. The hat.
But
I love that we're segueing into this.
But we landed just at this place of like, okay, but like, what are you, just like from an art standpoint, like, what are you giving people? Like, what are you putting in their faces in terms of like the content of what you're saying? What?
We talking about pyramids. What is unclear?
Brother, the Anunnaki built the pyramid. For real. No, for real.
But I feel like we shared this perspective of like, shit is kind of beyond the pale in a certain way right now. Do you agree with that, or is?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
it's hard. It's a hard one.
Yeah, I
to,
mean,
like,
just music
'cause we're-
is weaponized right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, my man Ka said it so
Yeah.
well. The intro
Yeah.
song off of Thief Next to Jesus, he
Yeah.
literally tackled this
Yeah.
so well. And
In very simple terms. too.
Simple
profound,
terms.
but simple. Yeah.
so yeah, if you haven't listened to that, listen to that and get more perspective on that. But yeah, he just says like we got to be careful like what we're giving the youth. You know what I mean? And I'm on the level of like, I did a show in Florida at this festival in Gainesville at this like,
Yeah, I set that up.
you're kidding.
Yeah. I'm the one who got you booked for that.
Oh,
For free, for the love.
Oh yeah, you did. You did.
Just for the love.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. When I got there was like hula hooping. It was ungoverned. It was like there was white people with dreadlocks.
Oh no, you did that.
You did it. No,
You got him on that.
it was great. It was great. It was a great environment. But before I went on, to do my set, the DJ was playing like that stuff that's I don't know the name, but it's kind of like a very underground like sound where it's kind of like what's the guy's name? Like laser dim. But it's like that realm where it's like like I like it sometimes, but on a deeper level, it's like that is a dangerous, poisonous frequency.
It's villainous music.
I like laser dim, and I like what he's making, but I'm saying the literal frequency of that 808. If you played that for a body of water. Fish and all of the...
they would die. They would float up to the
float up.
I did not think this was the level this was gonna be on.
That frequency is literally poison. That is a poisonous frequency, and I feel like we were talking about it, right? Or
we were talking about this.
I had a conversation with somebody else.
We theorizing
were saying
about
like
brown notes.
metaphorically, like culturally, you know, like ideologically.
I know, I'm literally speaking to like...
You're talking about physics.
The frequency of music, you know, like that. This shit is not tuned to like, it's literally poison, literally. But yeah, I think that we just need to like up it a little bit. Even speaking about the hat, like the Drewski skit or sketch thing where he's sitting on the rock, where he's like, "Peace, my brother," or he's on the stump. It was really funny.
Was he wearing a kufi or something?
He's just wearing the militant hat.
Oh, like the immortal
hat.
technique sort of
yes.
thing. The Talib.
And I was laughing and I was going, ha, and then I started going. I like kind of was offended at the end. Not that I was taking it literally personally, but I was just like, we're making a mockery of a time when like the output of rap music was like beautiful. Like the things that were being said by black men. Like it's funny, peace, God. It's like, that's beautiful. We were addressing each other saying peace.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it's like, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like back to kind of what Teve's saying with that's how I'm interpreting the title. It's like, it's funny, yes, but it's like
live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
Just be about nothing. Make fun of anything that is about something.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with it. And that frustrates me because like, I don't take for granted any listener. It's like, if they have the headphones in and they're sitting there going through a hard time, I want to impart something, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe there's songs that don't do that, but the goal is to like give the listener something. And I don't take that for granted. I feel like a lot of the music is just to be monetized, you know? And
can I just pull this back to what you said earlier regarding like not doing enough in this context? I think like there is really something to be said for taking care to do all the things that you do in your day-to-day. You know what I mean? And I think art is one of those things. And I think it's really important to keep taking that care in every step of the process and not just let it be washed under the cycle of money and who's paying for this and who am I outsourcing this off to. And I feel like that's something that we really undersell as a society. The importance of just like really caring about every step of the process and really caring about what you are producing, you know? And because I think even if you make a good product and you make something like you make a good song, you record something you really like, it takes this much of a slip up to send it off to the wrong person, and now your cover art is like some weird shit that suggests like, oh, everything I made was a joke and I'm not serious about what I just said. I think, I don't know. I think it's really important to like. I don't have like a good like landing point for this. All I'm saying, I think that care is important, and I don't think I see that in most music that I listen to these days. I'm seeing a lot of people being very, very open about using AI and like passing their shit off to ghostwriters and all this stuff. And I've seen a lot of comments recently that are like, this thing that I love has died. You know what I mean? From like hip hop fans, heads, whatever you want to call them.
Shit ain't dead.
Well,
For me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just seeing a lot of like, I'm just seeing a lot of that feedback from people that are like, that are still putting their hope in the mainstream of things and don't know that like people like you and people like Tebe exist.
Yeah,
you know?
that also makes me think of like all of the OGs in jazz like weren't fucking with the term jazz. They were like, that's some white people shit. Like,
Yeah, it was
that's
marketing.
Gary Bartz was big on his like, jazz is dead. Like, I'm not doing what y'all think I'm doing, you know? But something that I've been doing like consciously is just like standing on the fact that like when people are like, what kind of music do you make? I say, I make conscious rap. And it's up to them to do with it as they please, because they will automatically think of like
Yeah.
conscious rappers, the list.
Common in the hat.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a crocheted hat.
Dated Erykah Badu for a little bit.
Sure,
Became a different man.
Yeah. But even with that, it's just like yes, I'm conscious of what I'm saying, you know, and I feel like even just standing on that,
Not on autopilot.
yeah, I'm not just cranking these joints out, like, and my music also comes from a place of privilege where it's like, this is not my bread and butter. This is the place that music is where I go to make sense of the world to me, you know, and if I can change like the way that I perceive the world, like within, then I'm interacting with the world differently, you know. I really think it's as simple as like, I know returning back to this, taking the shower, doing the things, it's like that, the snowball effect, you know what I mean? There'll be a time where I'm like, you know, I will be hopefully like teaching kids how to write raps. I don't know where.
Or how to process their thoughts.
Yes, for sure. Like, I think if we're all here, we could all identify with that feeling, like that favorite English teacher that had free writing at the beginning of their class. It's like you could tell, you knew what their intention was in letting you write what you were thinking about in the beginning of class. So you weren't preoccupied and you just kind of got to get that off, and then you were attentive, you know? Yeah. Or the teacher that didn't care if you doodled because they were like, see that you need to do that to stay focused. I went off, but...
No, it's all interconnected, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
I think just what I don't want to get lost, just on the conversation of like us taking care of ourselves and trying to be better and feel better and being in this fucked up society, is that piece of we are social creatures and we can create a context in which we can socialize with each other and be with each other in community that isn't like this atrophied, like atomized existence that most of us have been used to, you know? Like everyone living in, you gotta drive hours to see your parents, or, I mean, it's just like the neoliberal hellscape, you know? Like, I think I bring up labor, land, and housing because I feel like with people we trust, if there's any hope that we can actually like have room to grow in the ways that I think we should be able to, it's gonna take us reconfiguring how we're living, like to the fullest extent.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think there's a scenario where we just keep clocking in and doing 40, 50 plus hour work weeks, go back to our fucking, you know, apartment or whatever, and then in the fucking whatever hour or two of time and energy we have left, we somehow manage to like, I just feel great and my life is just, oh my goodness. It's just not gonna happen. You know, I think like some of us who have resources, who have information, access, like we gotta keep like looking at land and looking at housing, looking at infrastructure and invite people with shared values in. And say, here, look, this is some room for you to breathe, and we can just share and we can learn together, you know?
I'm completely on board with that.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah, that's like, but then when I like zoom out, I think of like working on something with a friend, and we were talking about descriptions for a product on a website. And I was saying, oh, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't need to say 100% cotton, made in U.S. Like, I mean, those are things that you kind of need to say. Then he goes, but what if someone's blind and they can only be read the description of the item? So that makes me think of, like, all the people that are spiritually aligned with what I know we want, not what you just shared, but they aren't even equipped with or armed with like the opportunity to even begin to think that way. So that's kind of like why I'm saying I see my role in, like, there might be a kid that just can't even look you in the eyes, but is aligned with us. And it's like, how do we arm him with like, or help him with like just social skills, like how to operate and be around other people? And it's like, there's probably some excavating that needs to be done. Maybe some trauma there. It's like, I'm all about cleaning up the source so then you can be of maximum service. That's like where I feel I am the strongest, because I'm thinking about even what you shared with me in terms of, you know, what you put Zach onto. And it's like, I'm seeing how you've evolved even since I've met you, and how you've progressively like gotten more information. Then you're like, I'm not really on that shit no more, but I'm on this now. So I'm all for like,
absolutely,
you know, cultivating that and showing people and sharing with them like, yo, I did this, didn't really work for me. This is what works for me. That might actually work for you. It didn't work for me. That's what we were talking about in terms of like the values and the morals, because like I'm a big morals guy, big time. Like I'm a right hand, web to web handshake, look in the eyes. If you don't do that, I'm judging you. Because that's just how I was raised, you know? I'm like I'm a hold the door for the elderly. I'll get stuck at the door just holding this shit for everyone. You know, just giving until I can't. But it returns back. Like, I don't want to offer that janky ass hand. I don't. And for the longest time, I thought I was offering a good hand. Even currently, I might be convinced that this is a good hand, but it's like there's still work to be done. You know? Yep.
I mean, I have a lot of.
I'm flashing back to our handshake earlier. Like, was that firm?
Yeah, I guess speaking of sharing what does and doesn't work, and you alluded to something that I shared with Zach Fox. There's a psychologist named Albert Ellis. He has a framework called rational emotive behavioral therapy. And it's actually very similar to another framework called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. And kind of what joins them is cultivating a sense of unconditional acceptance of yourself and other people and the world around you. And I know, like, speaking for myself personally, I'm in recovery from certain mental illnesses because of these frameworks. And in that experience of doing that internal work, it put a new light on how I was organized with people, like how I was and wasn't relating to other people in organization. And I guess I'm verbalizing this to your point of like how central that piece is. But I also think that, man, we gotta like, why are we still dealing with like bosses and landlords, man? Nah, I'm just saying, like Bernie Sanders can campaign, people put in small donations making tens of millions of dollars. We can't do that for ourselves?
Yeah.
Why are we giving millions to for people to represent us in a government that's never worked for us? That doesn't make fucking sense.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people with knowledge, with information, with money. There's plenty of people out here who can come together and create a situation where we can live without being exploited. And it's not easy. Like, it's like there's lots of stuff to figure out.
But it kind of is easy. Like, I hear you.
It's
simple.
It's
not
simple.
easy.
It's simple.
It's simple,
Yes,
but it's not easy.
it's simple,
That's what I was trying
and
to
the
say.
implications are liberating.
On this,
You know, like I just want to just on this point of like, as this internal stuff is going on, I feel like the other stuff should be going on too.
Yeah.
If we're serious about actually finding peace and finding security and finding safety, especially in the coming years and decades, it's all connected. I guess like the last thing I'll say is like, I don't want us to be thinking about mental health in this
in an isolated way.
isolated vacuum
Exactly.
kind of way.
Yeah.
It's related to the lives that we're living with each other, the things that we're being coerced into every single day. We can break out of it. There are already people around the world who do it, you know?
Yeah.
There are plenty of examples, you know? So
Actually, in the middle of starting the myth of self-esteem for like the third time as you bring this up.
That brother ate that up.
Hey, man. Feeling very left out of this light-skin energy tonight. Thank you, brothers. I think it's time to open up the floor.
Oh, okay.
I think it's time.
Yeah, does anyone have any thoughts, any feelings?
You got it, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's a shy room.
Do I stand up? I can stand up if it's easier. Okay.
Whatever's comfortable.
Yeah. So first, I want to say, go back to your name, Sage Elsesser. Sorry, I can't even say it right now. But it's a fire ass name. So I just want to let you know that.
It's Sage, Gabriel, Carlos,
Damn.
Atreyu, Elsesser.
Damn.
Atreyu, like from Never-Ending Story, the movie.
Damn.
Damn.
Okay. Made it
Yes.
even better. But to go back to what you were saying about discipline, and I think just collectively what we've been talking about, for me, kind of navigating, dealing with like self-care in regards to like these overarching like systems that are like violent and like are like oppressing us and stuff. But then also at the same time trying to unlearn these things. I've been trying to navigate like what's real and what's not real in the sense of like you know, trying to navigate like capitalism and like, you know, landlords and bosses, and like still wanting to do like organizing and like liberating work, but just being tired. And so, you know, when I'm tired in my head, I'm like, okay, you know, to resist capitalism is to like rest and to like, you know, not try to kind of keep up with the rat race and things of that nature. But at the same time, you also have to do the work for like liberation. And then also in this like kind of liberation work, because we've been kind of conditioned with like all of these capitalistic, you know, ways of thinking, patriarchal, it also seeps into like our ways of thinking in like liberating work. And so like to go back to what I was saying of like trying to figure out what's real and what's fake. I'm trying to find like what's that balance of like being disciplined. So like, you know, when is it the time I need to like quote unquote push myself and be like, no, I need to get up, I need to do this thing. In the sense of like, this is actually real. This is like that is the decolonized kind of way of thinking of like doing the liberating work. And then when is it like, whereas like, no, it's okay to like sleep and rest and like, you know, move away from like the fake stuff. So I hope that makes sense. But like trying to find the balance of like, you know, doing the self-care work that's actually real and that like works to liberating work that, you know, requires discipline, and understanding when it's like this is fake shit, you know, do what you gotta do, take that rest, watch that show, whatever.
Thank you for that. That's
you.
a great question. Yeah. I have some thoughts. Yeah, because I did, I guess you could call it movement work for years. And I actually had a very unhealthy relationship with work. I was a workaholic. I worked to cope with inner turmoil. That's what I did. And I did a lot of things. I like society kind of rewards certain kinds of mental illness. It's really interesting. But what I would say is I think it's important to make it really concrete. So I think what works for you is going to be contingent on what exactly your like organizational focus is, if that makes sense. Let's say you are trying to secure land and you're trying to start some type of intentional community, for example. Some of the initial steps in that are just around building relationships and building trust with people, right? So when you think concretely, okay, like how do I get to know people? How do I build trust? Those things are different than, let's say, oh, I'm working with this local tenants union and we have this campaign that we're pressing really hard on and we have to do it by this deadline in order to push back the, you know, private real estate company. It's going to be different depending on like what you're zeroed in on and focused on. But I think you would agree, both of you would agree that the health stuff and taking care of yourself baseline that has to be like fundamental, you know? And I know for myself, I didn't take care of myself because I actually operated from such a moralistic place. I had a martyrdom sort of complex. I felt like I had to give absolutely everything within me every single day, every single second, because of the advantages that I had or the privileges that I had. But we know what happens when you're gonna burn out and the work is gonna suffer, you know, organizations degrade. So I wanna give them time to respond, but that's my response to that question.
I think I was more or less going to say the same thing. Just set your boundaries before they set themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think I've learned this maybe through personal stuff more than through organizing stuff. You know, I don't want to discount what we've done as organizing, but I don't really think of it that way. You know. But
people would classify it that way. But I think it's a holistic.
Yeah, I don't really think
more.
of it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's another conversation.
Yeah, but I just think I've run into the experience of sort of wanting to prove that I belong in a space like this that I think like outside looking in might be viewed as like cool or like aesthetically, like there's a nostalgia factor. People talk about it looks like Toonami, it looks like PlayStation shit. Like I'm just reading YouTube comments. But like I think in an environment like this where like outside looking in, it looks like a cool place to be. You want to like be the guy who everybody needs, and you want to be the guy that's there for every little thing, and you want to be like, I think like when we started this, I really felt like I burned myself out in a lot of ways because I wanted to like feel like I was supposed to be here, and I think it gave me I think to a similar in a similar sense to Z. Like when we first started this, I was writing for TV. I had more money than I've ever had in my life, and more money than I have right now. And so I put a lot of money into the project, thinking like, okay, that's gonna, solidify my place. And then it also created a complex of like, well, am I just the money guy? And like, I think if I just said to myself, like, let me just give what I'm capable of giving, what is sustainable for me, and what is like not trying to interject more than I'm really capable of and not overextend myself, so that I don't end up in a position where now I'm lashing out at the thing that I helped to create, and lashing out at like, in a broader organizational context, lashing out at things that I could address in a collected way. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people want to meet the situation we're in with just violence, just sort of like uncritical violence, which I think is cute and cool in a fetishy kind of way. But it's like, is that really the solution to the problem that's ahead of you? Is that really the most pertinent thing in front of us? Is go out and like get some guns and shoot some billionaires?
Can I quote
It's
a
funny.
Can I?
It's funny when it happens.
Can I quote a Fanny
Huh?
to what we were talking about? Fanny Shakur's.
Yeah.
She said, "I want us to be more pro what the solutions are than anti what the problems are."
Yes. Yes. And
Fanny Shakur.
yeah. But it also speaks to like once we get into this rhythm of just like reacting to everything that's going around us and thinking like, I have to do something. I think that's the situation they want to catch us up in, is like feeling like, oh, I got to do something, and we don't know what the something is, and we just go outside and just stand. and
that goes to my make it concrete,
Yeah.
Think very concrete. And it also, and it ties back to the values thing
Thinking
too.
about the niggas crumping. Remember when they were like crumping for like George Floyd, was it?
Two for two on mentioning
that.
crumping.
Yeah. And Zach brought that up in the
What did they
first
were like 2015 or 2020 wasn't a real year or something. Kind of got off though, I can't lie.
Yeah.
2 for 2.
2 for
No,
2.
but what is concrete is going to be informed by your core values and what you want. And there is no set right or wrong or good or bad. I have ideas about what would be nice for a world that I want to live in, and I try and share that, and I try and build a microcosm of that and let it speak for itself, But in that, you have to take care of yourself. Absolutely. Is there any other question?
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Henry.
Hi,
Hey.
my name is Henry. Great conversation so far. My question is kind of for Z, because at the end of this conversation, you talked about mental health and the way that the way that we're all being affected, and the way that we should think of it in a community sense, and that really struck a chord with me because I feel like I've been at this place with mental health where like I could use a roommate as an illustration. Like, you maybe live with this roommate who says like, my mental health is like the top priority, or like my mental health above all else. Like, I won't I won't sacrifice anything for my mental health. And I always felt like that was really selfish. And as a roommate, I always tried to be like, well, I'll put my mental health on the line here and like, you know, do something maybe to help or like, you know, go out of my way. And like maybe also somewhere down the line I'll get something in return, but I'm not gonna expect it. But like to me, this all represented like a really scarcity mindset and this like idea that mental health is transactional and can be traded. Yes. And so I was wondering, to your point about mental health affecting all of us, you know, in a community sense, do you have a community minded sense of mental health, or like a community mental health way of thinking about things that maybe avoids that scarcity mindset?
That's a good ass question.
I know he said it's for you, but
that question.
I know he said it's for you, but I have thoughts too.
You can go first.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like this speaks to a lot of what we talk about. Is that for me, I think it all comes down to our needs being met, and I feel like, you know, the thing I said about me and my roommates having our separate eggs is like, it's a funny thing to say. I hope, but but like, I think it's important. Like I don't know. Like, you ever seen a fridge full of somebody else's shit, and now you feel like, oh, my life is being cluttered by somebody else, and we live together. We're supposed to.
Hard, yes.
Some shit happened today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Oh, that was like a SpongeBob. Yeah.
Fucking Peter stuffing his goddamn pierogies in the...
Just open up. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. but like, I think we put ourselves in positions where like, where the assumption is that we have our separate lives and we have our separate mental health, and that my shit doesn't feed into your shit. My shit doesn't like and your shit can only affect me in a negative way, you know? And like, your space is taking up my space. There's no like
growth that can come out of an exchange.
Yeah, there's no growth. There's no interconnectedness. And like, when I say I'm okay with staying in the position I'm at for the rest of my life, I'm like, I could have a roommate for the rest of my life, and that would not bother me. You know, I can share space with somebody, and we can figure out how to live together long term, and how to care for each other if we're really serious about that, and we can go from being roommates on our separate leases, paying our separate rent, to just like two people living in a house together and being an actual community. And I don't know, to me that's what that means, is like, how can we meet each other's needs, and how can we then carry that over into meeting the needs of people around us. You know, I think like just that, seeing the ways that we can interconnect extrapolates to the entire world, you know.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Do you have thoughts, by the way?
Yeah, I do. It makes me think of a book that I love called The Smell of Rain on Dust. The author, Martin Prechtel, he talks a lot about like the community of like living on the res together, and like how indigenous people like innately know how to like hold someone up when they're grieving, you know. And that just makes me think like, we're so like, here's the line in the sand, like your roommate sets their thing and they've got my stuff. It's like something that my sister armed me with the other day. She's like, just what does it look like to be a little more curious, you know, to just like ask more questions, you know what I mean? I just think that we're so rigid as a society, and I'm just trying to shed that. I just don't want to be confined by this shit, you know what I mean? I want to have a new experience, and it's just like, you can't have a new experience without challenging yourself to have that new experience, you know? But yeah, in that book, like, the way that he explains, like, when someone dies, like, the family member, like gets to really grieve and like cry and scream, and no one's judging and going like, oh my God, they're losing it. Everyone just like gathers around them and just like, when you're fucked up, they like carry you inside. And another talk he does, he talks about like bathing them when they don't know and they can't bathe, and when they fall into drinking too much. Like, and I think about all of our heroes, you know, that like Gil Scott is like my guy. He's my one, you know, and like it doesn't change his legacy, but yeah, like addiction got him, you know. And I just think like what would it have looked like had, you know, the people in his community were like a little more curious.
Yeah. I think that rigidity you speak to is a byproduct of how everything is commodified. We're commodities. Yeah. Like that's what we've been turned into. And people simultaneously want their little kingdom. They want to be like a little mini king. And it started with the land, and then the structures we built on top of it, and then capital, and then so we have all these mechanisms to like you can be a king too, you know, you can be a king, right? And but it carries on into the apartment, the home, so on and so forth. But I really think they hit on the core of it. You know, there are like group therapy, community therapy frameworks that you can, you know, look into, but I think about just the everyday experience, how we are with each other right now, how atomized and separated we are. What would it mean for us to be able to explore these difficult things inside of us in our daily lives in a context in which we don't have to clock in at whatever time in the morning and give like our entire lives to a group of shareholders whose names we don't even know, faces we don't even know, you know? And it makes me think about surveys that are done on, I guess, like happiness in Latin America. And, you know, this is, and this isn't to paint all of Latin America. There's a class system in Latin America, obviously. But a lot of people living in poverty, but they're living together and they're happier in a lot of places. And you think, gee, why is that? They don't have their mini kingdom, their fence and their whatever the fuck, you know, commodity item, you know, they're with their grandparents and their cousins, and there aren't these sort of like weird pressures there. Maybe that has something to do with it, you know?
I will also, sorry, just speaking to that, you know, like, I grew up in a duplex, like, owned by my grandfather in Mid-City. You know, like, I got to go downstairs and see my grandparents every morning. My aunt lived around the corner. We lived there, too. My uncle lived around the corner. Like, my grandfather only wanted to buy in Mid-City because he wanted to, you know, have it in the family for obvious reasons. But it's pretty, like that was so normal to me. You know what I mean? That idea of sharing, you know. But yeah, it's like, sadly, yeah, I like things. I like the commodity, you know what I mean? I think...
You're talking like Steve right now.
Steve who?
Lacy.
Harvey?
I was like, Harvey, bro?
No, probably Steve Harvey a little bit too.
I did see a
I like nice things.
I saw a clip of this
on crazy impressions.
I can't do a Steve Harvey.
Has anyone seen this clip of Steve Harvey like eating this like mac and cheese and greens stuffed chicken wing on TV? Okay, I know.
You gonna pull it up in Scrub?
Instagram showed me this clip. It was so insane. Just speaking of Steve Harvey. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like on TV.
Any other questions? Raise them high if you want to.
I have a mic. I was passing the mic. And I can pass the mic next further. So I'll try to be
Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
succinct. To frame where I'll be going with the question, I guess I'll start with that it surrounds faith before I go on my winding tale of why that's what I'm thinking about at the end of this, in part. because there was a reference to an almighty presence, and then in Your Music is Navy Blue, there's references to God. And I think a lot of what this conversation has centered around are guiding principles and standards of living and how we set them for ourselves and track or aren't able to track our progress, with a goal of living in a way that is maybe undefined but somehow feels right or feels good and feels affirming to your beliefs and what you want to see and contribute to in the world. So I'm curious where you all might stand, because I get the sense that you're sitting with each other with different perspectives on faith and, well, as probably everybody is. And what your thoughts are on where spirituality and faith might come into organizing and or mental health and understanding to the conflicts of organized religion and the traumas of colonialism and religion, and then how to separate what an inherent spiritual experience might be for a person and how that might really fuel you to be able to achieve these things that are very hard to do just getting through the day. So I'm curious where that
This
comes
is a whole
into the
talk in and of itself. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know Sage does it too. That's a whole combo in and of itself. Who did you get that from?
We made it. I made
You
it
made
up.
it up.
That was a great question.
Yeah.
That's my bag. You just
Yeah, exactly.
Please, go ahead.
I know you niggas don't gonna be like, God is not real.
No, hold on.
The black man is God.
We have a shared nuance.
Yeah, we had a
position.
No,
on
I'm
it, yeah.
joking. I'm already hip. I mean, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in God. My mother is a Buddhist. So like I was saying earlier about my grandfather, it's just a vehicle. Whatever you call it, I don't care. You know, whatever speaks to you, whatever you align with. I just think whatever can make you a better, I'm for it. You know what I mean? Even though, okay, God, I don't want to go too,
It's deep.
you know, but for example, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, yeah, I prayed and I asked, you know, the universe for some guidance, like a spirit that I can speak to. And he's like, guess who came to me? I was like, who? And he said, Christ. And I was like, oh no, you know. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, yeah, Christ is a beautiful spirit. It's like, it's just what we've done we as humans, you know, like everything that dude stood for, like what we do in his name. This guy was probably like so advanced. He was definitely posted up with all of the rejects and everyone. If we were even to call him like a, you know, prophetize him, he would probably be like, yo, I'm just regular. I'm just dude. I'm just a conduit of this thing. You know what I mean? So like, I often just think that spirituality in general, I'm learning to just shed all of my stuff around it. You know, I'm trying to be more open-minded and navigating my own relationship to whatever I want my God to be. You know, like my God is you kept saying it over and over, like compassion, you know, like my God is compassionate, because I'm not very compassionate with myself. I'm not very kind to myself. Like when I feel judged by other people, the first thing that goes into my head, I'm like, if you only knew the way that I talk to myself, you know what I mean? So all of these qualities of my God are things that I'm not able to offer myself. And I just kind of use it as something to lean against. It's not like a white dude with a beard reaching through the clouds or whatever, you know what I mean? And I feel like it just knowing that I'm not alone and like in this experience just gives me a little bit of just gives me the support, I guess, that I've been looking for my whole life, honestly. You know, I feel like I kind of answered it a little bit.
I think we've talked a lot about church. I also grew up in church, but I feel like I always had one foot out the door, in a sense. And so I don't feel like I left with the same religious trauma that you have. Although I used to get spooked by the idea of the devil when I was a kid. But like I don't know if that's quite the same thing. But so I feel like I never really like seriously engaged with it growing up. And I did sort of dismiss it for a long time in the way that you were just joking. But like, I think as I've read more and as I've explored myself more and just explored just like other cultures more and sort of realized like there's always sort of talk of this like just this organizing principle. What they always have a different name for it, whether it's I think it's prana in Hinduism or just general Indian. I don't know the specifics, but like there's always this idea of like sort of an unnamed organizing principle, and I think what really got me interested in going in that direction is like I was reading Ecology of Freedom by Murray Bookchin. Good book, worth reading. But I just like got fixated on a chapter about, not a chapter, but a passage about early Christians, the Gnosticism. And so I bought a Bible immediately. Just because I was like, what is that? What is going on? And I just started reading more about that, and I started reading about like what early Christians thought. And, there's like variants in Gnosticism. There's all these different sects, but the main underlying idea was that this whole idea of God as just like a guy and is just this dude in the sky was basically just like a psyop, basically. And that these early Christians believed that there was a higher presence above that God, and that we've been fooled into worshiping this idea of man. And I feel like that sort of stood into me as like this idea of like patriarchy as a concept and hierarchy in general, going beyond just like the rule of men, the state, anything like that. And if it I think that provided a good stand-in for me of just like, here's the problem and here's the alternative. You have this idea that, that can be extrapolated out into every man gets to have their little kingdom, and, everybody has to have their own stuff and their own house and their own family, which we can talk about how the word family is the same root for the word slaves. We can get into that if we want to. But like, here's the thing, patriarchy, and here's the alternative, which is that there is spirit in everything. And whether you understand it or not, whether you believe in a specific iteration of it or not, there's something within everything that you owe your respect to and your reverence to. And, I don't even have a name that I can put on that, but just the idea that you owe respect to everything, and that
animism is pretty close.
It's
not exact,
yeah.
but
But it's just this idea that like, you mentioned scientism earlier, just this idea that you don't have to understand shit to leave it alone. We act like we gotta do a bunch of calculations. But we act like we gotta do a bunch of calculations to like prove that people and things deserve like respect, dignity.
But it makes me think that sometimes you just gotta respect when. That's where the curiosity comes in. Like to me, when you drop like something in a body of water and they undulate out in perfect circles, I'm like, you gonna tell me ain't something going on? Or like when you zoom in on a snowflake and it look like that, it's just like just a thing. Like, come on,
snowflake.
And the one thing I would say to what you're speaking to, my friend Mustafa ran into my dad at a grocery store, and they run into each other often, and they talk about God. And my dad barred out, he told him, he said, the funny thing is the God that they pray, that the God that people speak of is the God of this earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like it's the God of earth. You know what I mean? We often talk about like the universe, but the universe is still somehow like earth.
Yeah.
And there's just a whole bunch of, and remember were we talking about zero and nothing? You know, like people are so afraid of that, of nothing.
Yeah.
Even though nothing is technically something. And I think that we ultimately return back to that nothing, whether we like it or not. And then if we didn't do what we were meant to do here, then we'll just come back around and...
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
And I want to make it short so other people have time to ask questions. But Pac had a line, my only fear of death is reincarnation. And I can say for myself that all the religious trauma aside, I was raised in a Southern Baptist household and church, and but coming out of organized religion, I was existentially moved to action, motivated partially by a fear that I could die and come back, not me, but come into consciousness through another, human vessel into an even worse situation than the one that I came into here. And so my rationale was from a place of fear, an unhealthy place. How can I do everything within my power to create a world where no matter where you are fucking born, you get what you need, you have dignity, you have comfort, you have food, you have love. That's where it started. That's where it all started for me. And I can't say that this is a part of the unconditional acceptance piece. I can't say that I relate or am motivated by that fear anymore. But I can say that I find value in life itself, in consciousness and awareness itself. And it's that valuing for life and consciousness and what it can be, the beauty that can be in that, the joy that can be in that. I think trying to cultivate that, create room for that to be cultivated, that's what drives and pushes me now. Yeah. It's kind of Drake coded a little bit.
It's been so real, everyone.
the little bit at the end. Any other questions?
So good.
I think I got the mic. I had a question. Well, actually, I was thinking about what we were talking about earlier when the Drewski skit and sort of the conscious rapper and the title of Earl's new album, and sort of how a lot of our everyday discussions and sort of even among peers or maybe even like circles like this sometimes, it's shrouded in irony and sort of like this fear of being perceived and like really speaking your mind, and sort of what do you guys do to sort of combat that and sort of to be earnest and honest, in a time where a lot of people find difficulty to do so?
Y'all are amazing with these questions. We are like really locked in, I feel like. I love that. Do y'all have any thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. That was a great question. I'm at a kind of a later stage of that right now, where I'm really beginning to dissect this idea of performance, like subconsciously how I perform. Like, we're on stage, you know what I mean? And I can think that I'm, being authentic. I can truly believe that, but like, I'm still on a stage with lights on me with a microphone, and that
Cameras.
is changing the way that I'm showing up. You know what I mean? I just think it's important for me personally. it's kind of answering even the previous question. Like I just bring a lot of these questions that I have to God because I know that I can't answer my own question at times. I just give it to God or my concept of God, you know, where I'm just like, how do I make sense of like, you know, like I don't always want to be, you know, joking all the time. You know, how can I show up without, how can I say what I need to say without joking? You know, like sometimes when I'm around my white friends, like white men, we do this thing where it's like poking fun, but like mean. And I said to someone, my brother, I was just like, yo, bro, like I love you. I don't want to like be mean to you, you know, or be mean to one another. Like, how can we just be kind? Like, what does it look like to just not do that? And he was like, bro, like, I feel the same way. So again, returning back to like that curiosity, because it's like, yeah, it's like, I'm trying to impress this guy who's trying to impress this. Like, who am I without that performance? You know, that's like a real question that I've been asking myself. My therapist was like, bro, think about all of the people that you look up to. And I just started going like down the list, and it's like these pillars, these people, and it's like these are just flawed people as well. Like how can I just be, you know? And what works for me is I literally would just be like, you know, Spirit or God, please help me just be today. Just allow me to truly be my true self. You know what I mean? And allow me to help somebody. And when I align with that, everything seems to like work out versus when I'm operating out of complete self-will and I'm trying to do the jiggy little things. And, you know, it makes me think of like basketball. Like we like the stuff, but it's about the fundamentals, you know what I mean? And
Think about your friend though too.
whom?
When the friend that you were just describing, where you're being mean to each other, and you're like, why are we doing this? And then when you voice that, he goes, yeah, you know what? I don't really like it either.
Yeah.
I think that's another part of it. When you are vulnerable and you are authentic, there are going to be people who connect with that.
Word.
Even if half of the room or 3/4 of the room are like, yo, look at this cornball. But at least you can live with yourself and you can connect authentically with other authentic people.
Exactly.
And that's what life is about.
You gotta embrace the corn.
For real. I really think that's what
Yeah.
it's time for that. It's
Yeah.
really time for that. I'm down for it. I'm tired of walking around with resentment and just judging people for existing. I'm like, oh, his shoes tied too tight and this da 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 da.
Right.
That's corny.
Yeah.
That's corny.
Yeah.
That's corny.
Yeah.
I agree also. Yeah.
I mean, also, like, people are gonna not fuck with you regardless of what you do. So, like, I would hate to have somebody hate me and I wasn't being myself. like, like, that shit feels so crazy. To be like, oh, you hate, bro, I had the mask on, man. I got so many layers that you could hate. Like, you don't even know. You don't even really, it just feels so embarrassing to look back at who you were when somebody didn't like you. And you're just like, damn, I wasn't even being the real me. That
I
shit
changed.
I changed. I'm worse. Come back. I'm worse.
That's the butterfly, you know, with the caterpillar and the butterfly. Like, damn, bro, you changed, you know?
Yeah, right.
I love that one. That's very live, laugh, love as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What's good? My name's Moy. My question's mostly directed at Navy.
Seen you the other day, bro, at the car pop up. Yep.
Nah, the car comment you made kind of made me think of my question. I guess brief for you guys that don't know. Firefighter by day, rapper by night, just like great human being, incredible lyrics. But I know he made the conscious decision to not collaborate too much outside of his immediate circle of friends and like family. I know the Earl album's dropping on Friday, and he's someone that you've collaborated with for a long time. So I was kind of just wanting you guys to speak a bit to creative community, what that means for you, and like how you curate that for your work?
Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, firstly, yeah, Kyle was the first person to tell me, like, don't make any music with anybody that's not your people. You know what I mean? I'm extremely lucky and privileged to have had, Tebe in my life. We went to elementary school together, so I've known him 21 years. I'm 28. And he showed me a lot. He showed me, like, not all of it, but majority of it. Just kind of like showed me to the water. Like, yeah, check that out, check that out, check that out. Kind of what we were talking about upstairs. I think we take for granted that, like, that is to me also the presence of God. That, like, when you're at a party or something and you look at your friend and you're like, they're like, yeah, like, just that unspoken bond. It's like you can't, I take it for granted. And I was like, been doing some work with some people that don't get it. And it's affecting me thinking, damn, am I something wrong with the way I'm communicating? Am I not, like, doing this well? And then I'm judging myself, and that's then changing the way I'm interacting with the work itself. Yeah, so, like, cherish your people, you know what I mean? That's, like, community is everything, you know? And I've been kind of struggling with that, if I'm being really honest. Not that I've been isolating, but yes, like, I've been sober for 5 years now. I don't smoke weed, I don't drink, so you don't gotta clap for that. Thank you. Thank you, though. And it's tough. Like, it's hard for me to be, like, making music. A lot of these dudes smoke weed. I don't like how it makes my clothes smell. I don't like how it makes my hair smell. I don't like potentially getting, like, high, and it's tough. And learning how to, like, but then both can exist. I don't need to spend time with them just in that space. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's like the extremes. It's like one or the other. Either I do or I don't, or like. And again, speaking to, like, what I was saying about the homie, it's like, just why don't I just say, like, hey, can we open a window? Like, when I'm around, can we not smoke in here? Like, just be curious. You know what I mean? And especially with community, it's like, if these people love you, like, I know people in my community love me. I can show up as my true, authentic self and, like, not feel judged for it. You know what I mean? I really do want to explore, making music with new people, because I think it can be a little restricting, because I want to build with new people. Sometimes, like, I know that I have a conversation with somebody that I don't know, and that sparks a thought. And even what we were talking about the other day, like, what we were talking about, like, I went home and I'm like, I don't really know y'all, but it's like we share that, like, kindred spirit. Like, we're interested in the same things. And speaking of Ka, and I'm gonna be quiet after this, but it's like, anytime someone's like, oh yeah, I know Ka, it's like you're immediately, as Ka fans, y'all know, when another person says it, you're like, you're locked in, you're part of the family, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily like we're all like-minded people, we're all here, you know what I mean? It's like, I guess I suggest, like, turn to the person next to you after and just be like, what's up?
I don't have too much to say on this. But I can speak to the internal just pain of working with people that aren't your people. Just having been in comedy for 13 years now, and it's a very solitary art form. It's it feels like it's designed almost for people to get their little claws in you and sort of drag you in whatever direction they want you to go. And I, over the past few years, have, like, just done a lot of shedding of people that I realized, like, this relationship doesn't serve me. I don't know if this even is a relationship that I can call, and like our values aren't aligned. We don't want to go the same directions. Like, what are we even doing here? And now have since come to like a place where I feel like I can look in my friends and realize like, oh, this person does this person does this. Like, I had all these people in my circle to begin with. Why am I not just looking inward, you know? And like, you know, you can look at it as catastrophizing, but I'm just thinking about like all the places that I could have ended up in if I kept those people around me. And I feel like it's so much more worth it to just like be where I'm at, but be with the people that I want to be with, you know? I mean, for context, I fired my manager because he was a Zionist. I didn't know, you know, and like, and it just feels like that's information that I learned, and I should have known that, you know, realistically, if that's really somebody I fuck with, that's something you should know. That's something that's worth knowing. And the fact that he was like blown away by the fact that I was like, I don't know who you were gonna put me in a room with that I don't want to work with, and he thought like, what do you think he's gonna like? I don't know. It just even having to explain that much to somebody, and having that much of a disconnect with somebody that's supposed to be in your circle will have you feeling like you're losing your mind. So, you know, it might not be the most expedient way, but like you gotta work with the people that you know. Work with the people that are around you.
I have a very quick response. When I was a kid and I would have sleepovers with like my favorite cousins or some really good friends who I haven't seen in a while, I used to feel like Sunday would come around and the parents would come to, you know, pick them up, and it's like goodbye, and I would be like, why? Like, why can't we just do what we just did all the time? So I say that to say, in the context of my creative relationships and collaboration, I want all the people that I'm doing things with to be off of the hamster wheel of capitalism. And I want to create with them in a context that isn't that. That's what motivates me. On top of everything that they said, I want to make sure not just that people like have money in their pockets where they can just like consume on the market and keep paying to the landlord and whatever, but where people feel liberated. That's my response.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yo, Shaq, man. Can I get some music, man?
Maybe.
Man, I feel like we've been having all these heady-ass conversations. I kinda need to unwind a little bit.
I don't know. Do y'all want to hear some music?
Yeah.
Alrighty, I got y'all then.
You got a little something for me,
Shaq?
Okay, we spinning it up. You got some techno for me? Oh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. He's just teasing it a little bit. Testing the waters a little bit.
Y'all ready?
Everyone's on the floor. I don't know.
Y'all gotta stand up first, man.
Y'all gotta stand up now.
Yeah.
We might be ready. It feels like we might be ready.
Thank you for coming.
Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all, man.
Thank you.